Hello everyone, this is Becca from Willow Hill Designs. Welcome to my channel, and today I am sharing our Roxy's Journal of Stitchery Down the Garden Path. And this week it is for these past 2 weeks it has been the garden chair. And when I heard that prompt, I thought of your typical garden chair that you might have, whether it's wooden or iron or whatever in your garden. And then I got to thinking, well, this is kind of a little wildlife garden with all little animals and creatures. So I thought of a stump, and so I just sketched this little stump here. I thought that this was kind of a good idea just because we have all the little animals here. And I think to myself, when my husband would be cutting down a tree, or my son, and you make the cut, sometimes when the tree falls, there's a piece that is still sticking up when the tree breaks. And it's kind of a jagged piece that sticks up, and that made me think of a chair. So I thought, being that there's little mice and little animals, that might be the kind of chair that they have. So I just traced over the pencil with a Sharpie marker, and so that I could see it from the other side, because I wanted this chair to face this way. And so that made it easier to put it under my fabric. And then I just traced with Frixion pens. So this is my chair. Let me see, let me make sure I'm okay. So this is the chair that I came up with, and it is my little stump chair. I'm calling it a little stump chair. And this was done with a single strand of floss again, and I used sort of a medium brown thread, some gray over that, some streaks of gray, some streaks of kind of a tan color in there. And then I outlined with a dark brown just to make the chair stand out a bit. And for the little seat part of the chair, I did that in a tan color. And then to emulate the rings, I just did a gray, again in an outline stitch going around in a circle, and outlined this with a dark brown thread. So that became the little garden seat or garden chair down here by the picnic. And I've also added another little visitor, and this is Dusty. Dusty the field mouse has come along because he wants to join in the picnic as well. And this is a new piece of fabric that I've got fairly recently, a new piece. And oh, I just love the little mice in that fabric. So he was a very good scale size to go with the other mice and everything. And so he's a little cutie. He's stitched down with an invisible stitch. And then I added some grasses around this chair, and I did some ribbon embroidery just for some leaves of, plant life there. And then I added some flowers, and those are fabric circles. And let's see, that is a batik fabric. And I just used this. And this fabric is really nice because it does really afford you all different places on the fabric where you can cut out different colors, rosy pinks, yellows, peachy colors, lighter pinks. There's even greens for leaves. Matter of fact, here's a flower I didn't use yet. And the nice thing about batiks is they don't really ravel as much as the other fabrics do. I'll just make sure that I am in frame here. So that's what I did here, completing. I put him by the chair. Again, he's done with an invisible stitch around in the different colors to match the different areas on his body. And then I went ahead and I had finished the grasses and flowers up here along the upper portion of the path that go over to the little flower pot house here for daffodil. And I've been adding these flowers now along the path. These weren't done. None of these were done. Matter of fact, I'm just noticing here I have to add some over here too. But I've been concentrating on these, and I've used different colors like purples, reds, some golds, kind of a peachy pink, orange, red here, and again the purples. And I tried to make some look like tulips, some like little round flowers, some kind of maybe little star-shaped flowers, or little flowers with little petals, in the golden and the purple and blue. And I haven't finished over here yet. I still have more to do here, so I will be working on that. Here's little Mr. Owl is still in his little house there. But Dusty is definitely looking over at the picnic blanket because he sees some good things there to eat. And I added these little nuts. I think maybe they're filberts. I'm not sure. Hazelnuts or filberts. And of course, these were here, these berries. And I added these larger berries. I'm not sure what these are, if these are blueberries or what. But I had those in a piece of fabric. And those are all invisibly stitched down. And so their picnic blanket is definitely filling up. And so that is my garden chair. And I'd like to just share quickly, one of my subscribers had asked me to please show the invisible stitch. What is it and how do you do it? And so I don't ever use a needle this long. But it had the right color thread on it. But if I was taking an element like the little mouse or the bunny or the blanket or any of these, the leaves, any of these little elements, what I would do is I would just do the invisible stitch. And that's what I was explaining, is that it's just a tiny, tiny little stitch. And on this one, I would take the stitches and the ivory because my thread is ivory colored. And I take stitches that are not even a 1/16 of an inch in size. They're more like a pinpoint. So you have the teeny tiny stitch on top and a longer stitch in the back. You can travel wherever you'd like to travel with your stitch on the back. It doesn't matter if the stitch is long, because you're not going to really see the back. So I would go all along this edge and stitch just little tiny stitches, catching wherever you think it needs to be caught down. And if I wanted to reinforce more, I would go also along the blue. I would take a blue thread. I would go to my threads and match the blue. And just taking teeny tiny pinpoint stitches on the front so that they're barely noticeable. And on the back you have long stitches, and it doesn't matter on the back. And what I would do is, after I went all the way around the edge, securing the edge, if I felt like the center needed to be tacked, I would do the same thing. I would just come up at random points in the center, and I would take a tiny tiny little stitch. Oh, my thread came out. I would take the tiniest of little stitches in the center and just tacking it down, because sometimes when you go around the edge like that, sometimes the center will have a tendency to sort of bubble up. So you may want to just randomly, again, the long stitches are on the back and the little teeny tiny short stitches are on the front. I hope that helps. And that secures it down really nicely. It won't go anywhere. And if you do feel like your edges need tacking, you can also do a stitch along the edge, and I would take a blue for this, and not really a whip stitch because you're going right next to this where you came up, but I would just take a little teeny tiny, and again, I would use the blue so that you don't see it. And of course, I would put fray check on these edges. I know a lot of people wouldn't. They like the fraying, and that's fine as well. But if you don't like the fraying, I would put a little fray check on the edge. And you can just go along the edge and secure that if you feel that that's what you need to do. Like if you have pointed edges of leaves or something like that. So I hope that explained everything easily. Like in this leaf here, I went around the edge with that kind of, not a whip stitch, but something similar, and just choose a color thread that goes with your whatever you're appliquing down. But this, like the little squirrel, I used the applique stitch there, and I, not the applique stitch, the invisible stitch, and I just did red thread in his coat, and then I would change here to white, and then I would change here to gray in here. That's how he was stitched down. The bunny was stitched down the same way, with that invisible stitch, and changing colors, brown for her head, red for her coat, white for her tummy and tail. And the nuts were done the same way, although these blue berries right here, I did do an invisible stitch. Oh goodness, I can't talk today. I did do a whip stitch around the edge of these, just because I thought that that shape needed a little extra reinforcement around the edges. But these are all invisible stitched as well. This little mouse is all invisible stitched. There's brown where his fur is brown, and green for his pants, and pink inside his ears. So I just changed the colors of the thread and do that. So that is my little garden chair for this 2 weeks, and this is the end of my roll here. So I don't know what I'll be able to add, if anything. There is a little bit of space here, and there's a little bit of space here for maybe something, but I will probably add that extra piece on when we find out Wednesday what the new prompt is. And I don't mind that at all. I have the fabric already cut, so I'll just fold that back, and I'll fold that back, and I'll add on the new piece, and probably put something here maybe to camouflage that join. I don't know if I'll continue the path or what exactly. I guess I probably will. But so that is my little, let me put that in the center. This is my little garden chair with the flowers around it. And so I'll show you from the beginning. And it's really kind of just developing into a nice little story as we go down the path, and all the things that we're seeing, all the wonderful little things. It truly is like a little storybook when you think about it. I haven't named her yet, this little swan. It might be Shirley Swan or Sylvia Swan. I'm not sure. Or maybe her name is Susan. I'm not sure. But this is Miss Lucy. And I haven't named the little bluebird or the fairy. But this little squirrel is Stuart the squirrel. And this is Daffodil, the little mouse that lives in this flower pot, this overturned flower pot, and Mrs. Rabbit. And now we have Dusty the mouse and Owl, who was in his tree trying to take a nap, but he knows there's a picnic going on out there, so he wants to get involved. So, oh, and I'll just share quickly that on Easter we were going to have a baby reveal to find out what the new little baby is, and we actually did it a few days before Easter. We all got together because we couldn't wait. We could not. We did it the Thursday before Easter. We were just too anxious. And it's a little boy, another little boy. So that's little boy number 2 for my son. And so altogether we have 5, it'll be 5 boys and 2 girls, grandchildren, 7 grandchildren. So the girls need to catch up, definitely. I don't know what the prospects of that are. My son and daughter-in-law are talking about possibly one more to even up the score. Well, we can't even it, but so that's exciting news. Another little boy due in September. I'm already planning a quilt, and I think it's going to be a Noah's Ark quilt, but I'm not sure. That's kind of the idea that I have. So we'll see how that where that takes us. But anyway, so thank you very much for joining me today on my journey down the garden path. And I'm wishing you many blessings, and see you in the next video. Bye for now. Oh, I'll give you one more close-up before I go out. Okay. Bye for now.